Hello and welcome to a colour reading for April people to see how their June 2026 will progress. This is Karen's Colours and I'm Dr. Karen. The colours that we looked at for May 2026 showed that there were a number of difficulties that we had to negotiate throughout that month. And if your month went smoothly, then wonderful for you. On the other hand, if it was a bit rough, let's see what June will bring for you, shall we? For myself, it started off smoothly enough and then gradually progressed further and further into a period in which I really started to reevaluate these readings. Are they in fact even valuable to people? I don't get much feedback, but if you're planning on making such feedback, please feel free. I'd like to hear from you. If you're new here, of course, you'd probably be a little confused. My colour readings are not all love and light and wishful thinking. I read the colours as they turn out. And if that's something that doesn't appeal to you, then perhaps a tarot reader might be more your style. So I guess we need to get started. Now let's look for some colours for people born in the month of April to examine their June 2026. And firstly, I need a combination for their strengths, which is cyan on red, and the obstacle that they will face, which is brown on grey, and an underlying support combination to lead them through the month, which is pink on blue. The strength, cyan on red. Well, the first thing we note is that cyan and red are opposites on the colour wheel. And so here we have a swinging backwards and forwards between two extremes. Red internally is having all of the energy that is necessary for you to achieve whatever it is that you're aiming to do. And in the real world, what that brings you is contentment and quiet and peace and harmony and all of those lovely things that we associate with life being perfect. Together, that combination is your strength. You are able, through sheer willpower, to be able to create a life of ease and comfort. The obstacle that you have is brown on grey. Grey internally is all about indecision. It's about needing to find some sort of middle road, but not knowing how to go about it, being confused, having to find a way out of that confusion. In the real world, there are many different things that you have tried and will continue to try throughout June. Different goals, ambitions, tasks, skills, various different things that you decide that you need to do, but they don't satisfy this indecision. You don't really know what you want out of life. And that's what this basically says. The underlying support energy is pink on blue. Blue internally is a drive towards being responsible and careful and getting ordered and organized and basically doing what has to be done, because if you don't do it, nobody else will. In the real world, pink says that when you do your duty, people will love you. You will find that others will come and assist if necessary, if you ask for that assistance. But basically, it allows you to feel as though, yes, you've done a good job, but it also makes you feel somewhat exhausted because there's no red left in pink, or very little red left in pink. And so you go from a state of your strength being lots and lots of energy that allows for peace and harmony to a state of working so hard doing what you are responsible for that you dissipate that energy and become quite exhausted. Now, interestingly enough, cyan and red are versions of pink and blue. Cyan is a pale version of blue, pink is a pale version of red. And that has implications for how your strengths are able to be supported by this underlying energy. Let's firstly, though, look at the colors that are missing. Right, well, there's no black or white, but you do have red. There's no yellow or green, but you have blue. You have brown. There's no orange, but you do have grey. There's no purple, but you do have pink and you have cyan. So these colours here are the ones that represent the skills that you probably know about because you've used it before in the past. Most of us have. But for some reason or other, they are not functioning for you in the month of June. And that's all right, because we can deal with those in a little while. But firstly, I want to look at specifically the interactions between these three combinations: your strength, your weakness, and the underlying support. So we start off with cyan on red, and then we go to brown on grey, and the underlying support is pink on blue. Leaving these aside for a moment, let's just look at the underlying energies, or let's just look at the interactions between the strength and the weakness. And we do this by crossing over the drivers. So now, instead of your strength being one of having lots of energy to create the sort of peace and harmony in the real world, peace and quiet that you want, now that peace and quiet comes as a result of you simply treading a middle path. You're not prepared to argue with people. You're not prepared to take sides. You're simply finding a middle road that leads to that same harmony and peace and contentment that is your major strength. As well as that, the red, which was your driver here, the ability to be the boss, to insist on certain things happening, can also come through as your being able to go and do things that you need in order to obtain some sort of goal, some sort of satisfaction out of life from things that you have accomplished. You need practical skills in order to do that, and you have all of the energy internally that enables you to go ahead and do those things. Now, because this is your strength and your obstacle, these issues here can be somewhat problematic. For example, the strength of being able to be your own boss, to demand a certain way of things to be done, can come across as being angry and tyrannical in some ways. The indecision can, in fact, come across as simply finding a compromise. Similarly, the mixture of that strength and weakness, or that strength and obstacle, can also have a double-edged sword. You can either compromise to find peace and quiet, or else be constantly searching for whatever it is that will lead you out of confusion so that you can find comfort and peace and quiet and harmony. Similarly here, the red internally can be all of the energy that is necessary for you to accomplish what you set out to accomplish, because you set yourself a task and you have developed the skills, or you have the skills that are necessary, and you can do that. But it can also be that you become so frustrated, so angry, so potentially tyrannical, that in the real world, all you are doing is throwing mud at the brick wall, hoping that something will stick, that your goals and ambitions are based on impulses rather than on thought out, carefully considered activities that, or carefully considered drivers, I should say, that come from the original obstacle. So what happens then if we insert in here the underlying energy? Bring that across. Now this is the support energy, the pink on blue. And once again, in order to deal with them, we cross over the drivers. And now we have an interesting situation. I said earlier that pink is a pale form of red and cyan is a pale form of blue. Now, when the strength and the underlying energy, the support energy, are put together, we end up throwing those combinations together as well. Cyan over blue basically means that if you do what is your duty, if you do what is required of you quietly, diligently, without complaining, then in the real world, life can be extremely peaceful, extremely rewarding, extremely comfortable. As well as that, if you allow your strength of ability to be in charge, to have all of the energy that's necessary in order to carry out something in the real world come across as love and caring and compassion, then you too can feel as though there are some real passionate rewards for you. There is a bit of a funny thing happens here though, and something you need to be aware of. Pink and red are my pregnancy combination. Now, you may not necessarily actually have a physical baby inside, but pregnancy is a state of waiting for some sort of project to come to fruition, to come to birth. We're waiting. Pregnancy is a state of waiting for something that, some little plan that has been created to grow to maturity. And that plan to grow to maturity, that pregnancy, is also supported by this combination, which, while it's not pregnancy, certainly is the lady in waiting. So just be aware that that's a possibility for June. What about when we cross over the support energy with the obstacle? And here we have an entirely different appearance. Because it's supporting, the supporting energy works on the obstacle as well as on the strength, it means that there is a possibility that the outcomes are not quite as wonderful as they were in terms of its support of the strength. If we take the pink, the need for or the action of caring for others or being cared for in the real world, and cross them with the obstacles grey, that is uncertainty and confusion, this means that there is a very good chance that trying to balance out competing activities, competing demands on your energy will in fact leave you exhausted in the real world. You can't carry on doing everything for everybody and still manage to maintain any form of self-control. So there is a chance here that you could actually exhaust yourself, which can at times lead to some form of illness or disease process. On the other hand, the brown, this ability to create goals and act upon them to get things done, which is an obstacle, when paired with the blue inside, here we have the two work colors together. These are all about duty, responsibility, and productivity. There is a drive internally to do whatever needs to be done because it needs to be done. So there are duties and responsibilities to be looked after. But in the real world, there are also things you want for yourself, and they are at cross purposes with these duties and responsibilities. And so you'll find that there is likely to be a situation where you really don't want to take on anything else as far as duties go, as far as responsibilities go, because it is taking you away from the very things that you want to achieve, which are a problem for you because you really don't know what those things are. All right, let's have a look at what you can do to support these various activities throughout the month. Well, for a start, with black, you can choose to take some time out. You don't actually have to be on the go all the time. Yes, there is the potential for that here because you are a very active person. But there are times when a bit of rest probably won't go astray. White allows you to choose the path where you can just simply go with the flow. Whatever happens, happens. You deal with it. You don't bother to anticipate, and you don't bother to try and control. Yellow is about learning and memory, but also about happiness too. Just accept every day as another day, another blessing in your life, and be happy about the fact that you've managed to get through the night. You're now facing another day of activity. Green is about finding a new path, a new values, a new way of doing things that you didn't think of before. It contains a little bit of yellow, so there's happiness in there. It also contains some blue, which is all about organization. So choose a path for yourself if you want to do something different. Orange is about courage and confidence and having the skills to survive whatever life throws at you. And purple is also about survival, but this time it's survival in terms of what you can imagine. Can you create something that is wonderful in your life? What do you have to destroy in order to obtain what you are creating? Because like children, and purple is very much child energy, like children's play, they often destroy something in order to create something new and wonderful from whatever it was that was destroyed. So the idea, of course, is choose from among those colors the one that is most appealing and then the one that is least appealing. And when you do so, add those two colors to whatever it is you're doing up here in June. That way you're increasing your ability to deal with this obstacle in a way that is more conducive towards finding the harmony and peace and the activity that supports your growing plans than simply shutting down the fact that you don't feel as though you can accomplish anything. Well, I guess that the color reading for this month is one that you can either take as a positive if things are going well for you, but for some of you, it's going to be something that is a bit of a struggle. That struggle continues on from what's been happening during the rest of this year. Let's hope that you can make something positive out of whatever your reading is, and specifically out of the colors that you have chosen to use as your treatment or therapy colors. Having a look at what is available to me this month, looks like it's going to be a repetition of what I had in May, and that wasn't easy to deal with. Still, I'm here, and hopefully I'll be back in July for another set of readings. In the meantime, may the colours of your life bring you all the joy and happiness that you deserve. And I'll catch you next time. Bye.